And it is because of my love for our country, and specifically because of the leadership that President Trump has brought to transform the Republican Party and bring it back to the party of the people and the party of peace, that I'm proud to stand here with you today, President Trump, and announce that I'm joining the Republican Party. I'm joining the party of the people, the party of equality, the party that was founded to fight against and end slavery in this country. It is the party of common sense and the party that is led by a president who has the courage and strength to fight for peace. So, as we stand here today, we have 14 days until the most historic election of our lives. And my message to my fellow Americans, regardless of your political affiliation, now is the time for us to stand together to save our country. There is nothing less than that that's on the line. A vote for President Trump is a vote for a big open tent party that welcomes people from all backgrounds and all walks of life. A vote for President Trump is a vote to express our deep love for our country and our appreciation for our God-given rights and freedoms enshrined in the Constitution. A vote for President Trump is a vote for secure borders and safe communities, and a vote for President Trump is a vote for peace here in America and around the world. I'm looking forward to casting my vote for President Trump because you are our best and only hope in this election to lead our country toward a future where every one of us can live in a truly free, peaceful, and prosperous nation. Every single vote will count. This is our opportunity to vote for freedom, to vote for peace, to vote for America, and vote for President Trump to go back to the White House and make America great again. Thank you so much.
As we secure our borders and rebuild our economy, we are also going to make America healthy again. The Kamala healthcare plan will make our kids sicker and their diets more toxic. Under the Trump administration, we will get the toxic chemicals out of our food supply and we will make our children healthy again. We will spend more money on healthcare than any other nation, but think of that. You know, we do. I don't know if you know. We spend more money by far than any other nation. But we have more chronic health problems also than any nation. More childhood diseases than we did just a generation ago. Millions of Americans are realizing that something is wrong. By getting this fixed, not only will we have healthier families, we will save trillions and trillions of dollars and bring down the cost of health care. With us tonight is the man who's going to help us get it all straightened out, Robert F. Kennedy, Jr.
We have 1,000 chemicals in our food that are illegal in Europe. But the problem is not from those chemicals. The big problem is corruption in our federal agencies. And these agencies are now owned by Big Pharma, by big food and big agriculture. Don't you want a president who's going to get the chemicals out of our food? And don't you want a president who's going to get the corruption out of Washington, D.C.? And don't we deserve a president of the United States that's going to make America healthy again?
Thank you, Bobby. Nobody gets a standing ovation like that. What's going on over here? That's great, Bobby. Great. Thank you. Thank you. And as you know, Bobby's great mother, she was a great woman, Ethel, passed away, so our regards and condolences to the family. Thank you, Bobby.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark MAGA. Well, first of all, I want to say what an honor it is to be here. And, you know, the true test of someone's character is how they behave under fire. And we had one president who couldn't climb a flight of stairs, and another who was fist pumping after getting shot. Fight, fight, fight! Blood coming down the face. Now, America is the home of the brave. And there's no truer test than courage under fire. So who do you want representing America? Yeah, absolutely. And I think this election, I think it's the most important election of our lifetime. This is no ordinary election. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. You've got 14 states now that don't require voter ID. California, where I used to live, is just passed a law banning voter ID for voting. I still can't believe that's real. So how are you supposed to have a proper election if there's no ID? It's just meaningless. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment. President Trump must win to preserve the Constitution. He must win to preserve democracy in America. Yes. This is a must-win situation. Must win. So I have one ask for everyone in the audience, everyone who watches this video, everyone on the live stream. There's one request. It's very important. Register to vote. Okay, and get everyone you know and everyone you don't know, drag them to register to vote. There's only 2 days left to register to vote in Georgia and Arizona. 48 hours. Like, text people now. Now. And then make sure they actually do vote. If they don't, this will be the last election. That's my prediction. Nothing's more important. Nothing's more important. So get everyone you know. Everyone. So I'm speaking to people out there. Everyone in the crowd, I think, is already convinced. But for people out there that are watching the video, watching the live stream, you need to get everyone you know, at work, your friends, family, text groups, your social media, everything. Get them to register to vote right now. Only 2 days left for Georgia and Arizona. Only a couple weeks left in Pennsylvania. And if they're not registered to vote, it doesn't matter at that point. Register to vote. I'm being repetitive for a reason, okay? So nothing is more important. And a lot of people think maybe their vote doesn't count. Well, it does, okay? It does. It matters. And this election could be decided by 1,000 votes, 500 votes. A tiny margin. So get everyone you know to register to vote. I believe it's swapthevote.com. I believe that's the site. And double check that your registration is good. Don't take it for granted. I'm just being repetitive about this point because it is the one takeaway, more than anything, that will matter is getting those registrations and then getting everyone you know to actually vote. That is what will decide this election, especially in Pennsylvania. So thank you, and honestly, you want to just be a pest. Just be a pest to everyone you know, people on the street, everywhere. Vote, vote, vote. Fight, fight, fight. Vote, vote, vote. Thank you.
Our movement is bringing together Americans of all backgrounds who believe in freedom, democracy, and a thing called common sense. Much of it's common sense. Conservative, liberal, it's common sense. Let me also call up two other incredible patriots who want to help save our incredible country. Former Democrat presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard. And, by the way, she just became a Republican. And a great man, a brilliant person, and a true character, Tucker Carlson.
I think Donald Trump's singular contribution to this country and the world is by his presence exposing a lot of things a lot of us believed as fraudulent, as lies. It's changed my life watching it. But the single biggest lie that Donald Trump has exposed is that this is a functional democracy, when in fact, it's a country oppressed by a small group of its unhappiest citizens for their own benefit. And the promise of this campaign is that Donald Trump will return this country to its owners. And that's its population, that's its people, that's its citizens. And I pray fervently that that happens. I mean it. That's why I'm so honored to be here. Thank you.
We have seen from the very beginning how much President Trump has been attacked, smeared, censored, the government weaponized against a candidate for president and a former president in ways that have never been seen in our country before. The reason why this has happened is because he is the sole person who has had the courage to stand up against the uniparty war machine in Washington and have the audacity to call for peace and an end to war. While he has challenged the swamp creatures in Washington, all of you have resoundingly nominated him for president 3 times in the last 3 presidential elections. We know whose side he stands on. He stands on the side of the people. He stands on the side of peace and prosperity and freedom for all Americans. It's why I'm proud to stand with President Trump and why we, the people, must vote to send him back to the White House and make America great again.
Great people. Great people. Thank you very much. That is a great group. That is some assemblage of talent. And very great honor to have them. Thank you very much.
What is the plan to do about the food healthcare industry and getting the artificial foods banned in our urban communities that have less access to organic whole foods?
So, Bobby Kennedy, right? Everybody likes Bobby Kennedy. And he's so big into the health food and women things, everything. He wants to do things in the environment. And he endorsed me. First time a Kennedy's ever endorsed a Republican. Maybe it's going to be the last, but I doubt it. And he's a great guy. He would be so perfect. He doesn't like artificial foods, and he doesn't like pesticides and all the stuff they put on them. And if you listen to him for 10 minutes, I mean, he says other countries that don't do anything are healthier than us, okay? We're not that healthy, to put it mildly. So no artificial foods. We don't want artificial. We have plenty of food. The food isn't our problem. And our farmers are great. And our farmers aren't allowed to do their job. You know, our farmers did great. 4 years ago, they were doing just about the best they've ever done. They're not doing well at all now. We're not gonna have artificial foods. We don't want artificial foods. We want healthy foods. And a lot of things are going to be going. And I'll tell you, I'm going to have Bobby Kennedy involved in it. He's a great guy. And even the way when I mentioned his name, all you guys, and you're tough cookies. You know, you wouldn't think, sometimes you'd say, maybe you wouldn't like a guy like Bobby. But he's a person that talks more about food and health than anything else. So I think that's cool. So we'll get it taken care of. You'll be healthier in 4 years from now than you are now. And you look very healthy to me.
Number one, how does it feel to be a Kennedy helping Donald Trump return to the White House? And have you talked to any of your family?
Well, I had a lot of family here. So there was a lot of family that worked on the campaign, and they were here. So we had about 18 people here at the Mar-a-Lago dinner last night, and they're very happy. I'm sure there are members of my family that aren't that happy, but I've received a lot of congratulations from them too.
From some of the supporters of Vice President Harris,
yeah.
You've received messages from.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to introduce the co-founder with me of the Department of Government Efficiency, Doge, Madison Square Garden. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the greatest capitalist in the history of the United States of America, Elon Musk.
As you can see, I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, gothic MAGA. Well, the energy in this room is incredible. What a great group of people.
All right, I've only got one question for you, and then I'm getting out of here because
All
this
right.
is your stage. But we set up Doge.
Yes.
How much do you think we can rip out of this wasted $6.5 trillion Harris-Biden budget.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah!
Yes.
$2 trillion.
I mean, at the end of the day, you're being taxed. You're being taxed. All government spending is taxation. So whether it's direct taxation or all government spending, it either becomes inflation or it's direct taxation. Your money is being wasted, and the Department of Government Efficiency is going to fix that. We're going to get the government off your back and out of your pocketbook. And America's just not just going to be great. America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing. Now, you guys are awesome. Honestly, this is like... Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of positive energy that America is all about. Yeah. USA, 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 USA. Ah! Yes. Now, I have something I want to ask you to do, though, because obviously we're somewhat preaching to the converted in this stadium, but there's a lot of people out there who need to vote for President Trump. Okay, so this is a real battle. This is a real election battle. So you need to get friends and family to vote. Make sure they vote. Vote early. This is important. We're going to be putting up a scorecard, okay? An early vote scorecard, state by state, county by county. What is the scorecard? Vote early. Vote now. Yeah. Make the margin of victory so big that you know what can happen. Massive, overwhelming sweep of every swing state, and even some of the states that people don't think are swing states. Massive, crushing victory. Get everyone, friends, family, people on the street. Put the signs up, put the hat on. Let's go.
For you, what have your conversations been like with Donald Trump? Donald Trump has said that he would put you in charge of the public health agencies. What exactly does that look like?
Well, he's been very specific in what he said. He wants me to do three things. One, clean up the corruption of the agencies, particularly the conflicts of interest that have turned those agencies into captive agencies for the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry, the other industries that they're supposed to be regulating. Number two, to return those agencies to the gold standard science, the empirically based, evidence-based medicine that they were famous for when I was a kid. And number three, to make America healthy again, to end the chronic disease epidemic. And President Trump has told me that he wants to see measurable, concrete results within 2 years in terms of a measurable diminishment in chronic disease among America's kids.
So is that specific role to be the Secretary of Health?
I don't know. We have not decided yet what my official role is going to be.
What did you tell him you would like that role to be?
That's why I didn't tell him. I've told him that I want to think about it.
So in that capacity, though, you feel confident that you have been given the assurance that you would be able to have an actual role in the administration that would allow you to make those sorts of decisions?
Yeah, absolutely. He's asked me to do that. President Trump is very committed to this issue. And he was committed to it before I came on board. In fact, he called me in 2016 when he won, and he wanted to do something like this back then. And for a variety of reasons, we ended up not doing it. But as far back as June of this year, he was doing tweets that looked like I had written them, talking about chronic disease and the necessity, how debilitating it is for our country. When my uncle was president, 6% of our kids had chronic disease. Today, it's 60%. When my uncle was president, 3% of Americans were obese. Today, it's about 70% obese or overweight. In other countries that don't have all these poisonous foods, like Japan, it's still 3%. And when my uncle was president, I was a 10-year-old boy. We spend zero on chronic disease in this country. Today, we spend $4.3 trillion. So it's 5 times our military budget. It's existential for our country. 77% of American kids cannot qualify for military service because of chronic disease diagnosis. We have to put an end to this.
So in 2016, a couple of weeks after President Trump was elected, it was just before Thanksgiving, I was a Democrat serving in Congress, and I had just gotten back to Hawaii for Thanksgiving. I was going to be there for 4 or 5 days, and I had just touched ground, I think the night before. I got a message saying, hey, would you like to come and meet with then President-elect Trump in New York City to talk about foreign policy and the threat of Islamist terrorism in the Middle East, and share your views with him on what you think should be done. So of course, without hesitation, I said yes. What a great opportunity to speak to the next commander-in-chief in our country. And for me especially, I had seen throughout that campaign, then as is true now, President Trump's gut instinct when it comes to the issue of war and peace is to prevent war and to try to bring about an end to war. And I was also very aware of how many of the Republican neocon establishment was going to be, if not already trying to surround him in order not to say, oh, of course we'll enact your foreign policy, but I knew that they would try to block him from accomplishing what he told all of the American people he would set out to do. So I jumped at the opportunity, booked a flight, got on a red-eye, landed in New York City, and about an hour or two after I landed, went to Trump Tower to meet then President-elect Trump, first time I'd ever met him. And it was his first meeting of the day, went into his office. He was very kind, he was very welcoming. And I sat across his desk from him, and we had a conversation for about an hour about foreign policy. And I talked to him about why we should stop being the policemen of the world, why we need to bring about an end to regime change wars. And shared my own experiences with him. It was a very substantive conversation. He listened to what I had to say. He asked questions, follow-up questions. It was a very thoughtful, substantive conversation for about an hour. And I walked out of there with a very different impression, as Bobby said, a very different impression than the one that I had seen portrayed on television. I left Trump Tower. There was a whole group of media cameras there in the lobby. Walked back, a block or two to the hotel that I was staying at. And in that 5 minutes, my phone started blowing up with messages and tweets and texts and emails coming from both members of some of my family, many of my Democrat colleagues, and a whole lot of people I've never even met before. And they were seething with hate and with disapproval and with disgust, literal disgust. But the word that was used most often throughout these messages was that by meeting with President Trump, I had committed the offense of humanizing him. Like, who says that? But the dangerous subtext of that was their whole plan all along has been to create this caricature of someone who they referred to as the Hitler of our time. You see some of the headlines that are coming out now this week as we're 17 days out from the election. I think one of the New York outlets said he is Hitler-like, Stalin-like, and a fascist. All three in one headline. And their goal is to make it so that when the American people look at him, they don't see a person, that they see someone they should view as the enemy, which is such a dangerous thing. We've seen now at least 2 attempts on his life. This is the dangerous mindset, unfortunately, that the Democrat Party has had, and why you have the consequences that both Bobby and I have experienced, and why you have so many people who I found through my own life have been otherwise, I found common sense minded people, intelligent, thoughtful, maybe independent thinkers, people who we may not have agreed on everything, but we could have a real conversation about things that we cared about. But when it came to President Trump, all of that just shut down immediately. This is the challenge that we have as we head into these final days of the election here, because like me and like Bobby, I'm sure there are many of you here who may have friends or family that may have reacted in the same way, or that are listening to the noise, but don't have confidence in Kamala Harris and maybe aren't sure about how they're going to vote in this election. We're going to get into some of the issues, but uniquely in our lifetimes, we have the opportunity to encourage people to wade through the muck, get past the noise, and actually look at President Trump's record of 4 years in the White House.
Would you like to be nominated to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services?
Like I said, I don't know if that's the post that I want. I may be more effective in the White House as a health czar or something like that, but we don't know. We haven't decided. We're meeting today on these issues.
Would that be ideally looking over the 13 health agencies that fall under HHS?
Well, that would be one way to do it. There's other ways to do it, too.
You said you're meeting with now President-elect Donald Trump here this afternoon.
I'm meeting with his team, with his senior team today.
What is your plan these next 3 months?
I plan to spend a lot of time in Palm Beach over the next 3 months meeting with the team, putting together. We have a 30-day plan, we have a 60-day plan, and we have a 190-day plan. There are things that we want to get done very quickly.
Have you been given assurance that you would have a staff even?
Yeah, I will, and I don't want to talk about specifics about what the administration
Well, then
does.
what is your plan come day one? What is at the top of your list that you want to make sure you, with the power, you've watched a lot of administrations over the course of the last several decades. What do you want come January 2025 to do in day
I'm
one?
going to do things that clean up the corruption in the agency. That's the really, we have 1,000 ingredients in our food that are illegal in Europe, that are illegal in other countries, and they're making our kids sick.
So does that mean taking like lawsuits?
They're there because of corruption in our agencies.
Does that mean using the agencies to ban those products in
There's
US
a lot
food
of different
supply?
ways to do it, and I've talked very extensively about that on podcasts, etc.
So you would potentially seek to do that?
What my job is not to do as little top-down control as possible and just get good information to the American people. So we don't have good science because the agencies deliberately don't do that science because they don't want people to know what they're eating. What I'm going to do is make sure that Americans have good information, the best gold standard science about their food and medicines, and then leave the choice to them.
You have been a crusader on questioning vaccines. Are there specific vaccines that you would seek to take off the market?
Oh, I'm not going to take away anybody's vaccines. I've never been anti-vaccine.
You will not take any vaccine that is currently on the market.
I'm not. If vaccines are working for somebody, I'm not going to take them away. People ought to have a choice, and that choice ought to be informed by the best information. So I'm going to make sure the scientific safety studies and efficacies are out there, and people can make individual assessments about whether that product is going to be good for them.
You've also talked about fluoride in the U.S. water supply. You would seek to ban fluoride in the U.S. water supply?
Well, I would advise the water districts that are currently using it that there's a lot of new science out there. And in fact, there's a federal judge decision by an Obama-appointed judge on October 4th of this year in which he sent EPA back to the drawing board and said, you've never done the safety studies on this. And by the way...
So what does that look like without debating, without going back and forth on the science?
By the way,
it shows
it's lowering IQ in our children.
What would you, on January 2025, we're 3 months away here, what would you actually do in your position inside of the White House?
I think fluoride is on its way out.
And how do you make that happen? This is your chance. That's what you're suggesting to me. How would you make that happen?
Listen to what I'm saying, okay, and then I'll tell you.
Okay.
I think fluoride is on the way out because of that court decision. I think the faster that it goes out, the better. I'm not going to compel anybody to take it out, but I'm going to advise the water districts about their legal liability, their legal obligation to their service zones and to their constituents, and I'm going to give them good information about the science, and I think that fluoride will disappear.
What did Donald Trump tell you when you guys were having conversations when you were still an independent presidential candidate? It was a major endorsement when you dropped out of the race and backed his candidacy. What was that conversation like?
It was a number of conversations. Essentially, he said to me, let's unify our parties because the landscapes on which we agree are much larger than those issues on which we disagree, and we'll continue to disagree on those. In ending the addiction to foreign wars, we both want to do that. Ending the surveillance, the censorship, the media collusion and that censorship, we want to end that. And then making Americans healthy again. And those are three big issues, and for me, we agree 100% on those issues, so let's do it.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.